Welcome, Sens Talk.
Here comes Kleven with a pass across. Oh, he scores! He bats it in! Tim Stutzler wins it for Ottawa. Triple Grant is going to put the finishing touches on an Ottawa win. See you later. Go Sens, go!
Welcome, Sens Talk. My name is Brandon Plant, and I am your host. Tonight, the Ottawa Senators took on the Boston Bruins in yet another pivotal matchup after an embarrassing 5-0 loss to the New York Rangers, a team just like Boston who is chasing us for those final wildcard spots. Well, this is another game where Ottawa desperately needs the 2 points. Now, after that embarrassing loss, Tkachuk and other members of the Ottawa Senators said that in this game, they would have to make a statement. They know they have to respond after such a pitiful performance. And well, let's just say they made a statement today, that's for sure. Now, going to this game, Ottawa has won both games against Boston this year. An overtime victory in Boston, and of course, that comeback shootout victory in Ottawa last Saturday. Going to this game, Ottawa and Boston are tied for 52 points. Ottawa has a tiebreak, so they go into this game are still by a thread in that final wildcard spot. Philadelphia and New York are playing today, so you know, basically, if we lose this game, we're going to be tied with multiple teams for potentially that final wildcard spot. So a win is pivotal for the Ottawa Senators. And once again, if we lose, we're looking at a potential 3 to 4 way tie for the second wildcard spot, or potentially even being just a point out at that final wildcard spot. So point very simply is just win, baby. Just win. And most of all, after that loss on Tuesday against the New York Rangers, you need a win, regardless of the standings, just to prove and get some momentum and some vibes back into your lineup. Now, Ottawa, speaking of vibes, do have some good vibes around this team. Just because they lost the last game, and in a very bad way, doesn't mean they have not been playing well as of late. They have. They've won their last 5 out of 7 going into this one, and they were on a 6-game point streak before losing that one to the Rangers on Tuesday. So things as of late have actually looked pretty good for Ottawa. But as I said in my video on Tuesday night, big reason for that is goaltending and the defense. The offense has not showed up whatsoever for the Ottawa Senators, and we're going to get into a lot of that in the game notes, and frankly throughout this video. There's not much else to talk about. It's the main story around this team right now, and I'm going to ask you guys a question and debate it in the comment section down below right now. Pause this video and comment down below what you think. Well, pause after I'm done my point here. Should the Ottawa Senators trade for a winger, a scoring winger, a speedy winger? I say yes on all 3 fronts. We need a scoring, speedy winger, desperately. And Steve Staios said that he wants to be patient. Fair enough. I think you've been patient long enough, though, because you said that 2-3 weeks ago. We have not scored more than 2 goals a game going to this game for essentially 1 out of 2 games. You know, like every other game, we're scoring less than 2 goals. Not good. That's not good enough to win, even if your goalie is standing on their head. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. You probably know the result of this game anyways, so you probably have a similar idea of where I'm going with that. I say yes. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now we have a typical former Senator goalie revenge opportunity tonight as Jonas Korpisalo starts for the Boston Bruins. They are without Jeremy Swayman today. They're also without like a couple other key players, like Charlie McAvoy, for example. So, again, the Boston Bruins are depleted. They're on a back-to-back. This is a prime opportunity for the Ottawa Senators to bounce back with a pivotal win against a team that they're fighting for. They're tied going into this game. They're fighting for those final wild card and playoff positioning. Now, Korpisalo going into this game in his last 3 starts has allowed 14 goals. So you know how that's going to go against Ottawa. Of course, it's going to turn into Dominic Hasek in his prime, which is basically what happened. And for Ottawa, it's Anton Forsberg, not Livy Maryland Sanity. Anton Forsberg, he starts. He is 4-0-1 in his career against the Boston Bruins going into this game. Now, speaking of the goalless drought for Ottawa, really, and just throughout the entire roster, one of the main catalysts as to why Ottawa is not scoring offensively is because of their captain, Brady Tkachuk, who going into this game is on an 8-game scoreless drought. If he does not get a point tonight, it would pass his career high, which is 8. That was, of course, in his rookie year, and it would make a new career high for 9 straight games. Don't think Brady wants to do that. In his pregame interview, I've never seen him more angry in a pregame interview. I'll just leave it at that. So clearly this is starting to really weigh on him too. So you really do want to see him especially, but guys like Batherson as well, who only has 2 goals in over a month, they really start getting going offensively here. Now, a couple lineup notes, some really bad news. Jake Sanderson's out with a lower body injury. He was out for precautionary reasons, and we all know how that usually goes, so we'll just have to wait and see when he's back. Ottawa plays a back-to-back on this weekend, so hopefully he's back at least for that one against Utah on Sunday. Hopefully, Saturday against the Leafs would be great, but getting him back sooner rather than later. Don't care when, just get him back this weekend, you know what I mean? Speaking of that, Josh Norris, we're not going to see him this weekend. He's out for the next few games. Not upset about that. And, when I say not upset about that, I mean the precautionary reasons. I'm pretty upset with the labeling. And I'll just say this real quick. I don't think they need to give us specific details on injuries. It's not the NFL, NBA. They do that. It's a different kind of game. Fair enough. That's not the way the NHL works. Fine. But you could just maybe be a little honest with us. Instead of saying precautionary reasons for everything. You said that about Allmark. He's been out for almost 2 months. You say that about Norris. How long is he going to be out? You say that about Sanderson. Suddenly a late minute, scratch from the lineup. So, again, you don't have to tell us all the details, but maybe don't lie to the fan base, because then you're just going to lose trust from your customers, right? Your fan base, the ones that support your team, support you. So again, I'm not asking for the specific details, but a little bit of details would be nice, because otherwise you're just misleading the fan base, and that's just going to cause a rift between the organization, the coaching staff, really, I should say, and the fan base. Personally, for me, it's annoying, because again, you don't have to say concussion, God forbid, but I think that's what Norris has. You don't have to say concussion. You could just be like, upper body injury. He's going to be out for a bit of time. Or especially with Sanderson, we don't even know lower body injury. Dean Brown reported that. And all we know is he was a late scratch for precautionary reasons going into this game. He didn't, practice as well. So I'll just get to the game recap here. It's very frustrating for me because, again, as a fan, you just want to have a little bit of trust in your coaching staff when they say something to you, You don't want to always think they're lying to you. It just builds a feeling of distrust, which is not what you want from a coaching staff who actually I have a lot of praise for this season. Let's get into the game. To the first period we go, and 3 minutes in, this is probably one of the craziest moments I have ever seen while covering the Ottawa Senators and the NHL as a whole. I got some Boston fans in my mentions. They are supporting this. Typical Boston behavior, so not shocked about it, but Brad Marchand, it was rat versus rat action. That I can understand. Nick Cousins is not exactly everyone's cup of tea. He's a pest. He's a rat, just like Brad Marchand. Doesn't justify getting choked, though. And that's literally what happened. And it wasn't even with the glove, get off me kind of thing. This was Marchand calculating the decision. He was like, all right, I'm going to choke this guy. He stopped. Look at your screen right now. Took his glove off and then choked him for 3 seconds bare hand. I have never seen that in my life, a barehanded choke. But should we be shocked, considering it's Brad Marchand doing it? This is the guy that licks people for fun on the ice. So that was a weird moment. And honestly, Nick Cousins was laughing about it after. So, I'm not going to get all pissy about it because he seems to be fine. And if he's not angry about it, why am I going to be angry about it? I think that would be a little weird. However, I'm angry about the fact that there was no penalty. You can't just choke somebody. This is, what is this? You can't just choke somebody and not get a penalty. That's insane. So, player safety is definitely going to give him a fine at the minimum. He's not going to get suspended, obviously, but a fine for sure. That was just one of the weirder moments I've ever seen in NHL hockey. And, of course, it's Brad Marchand at the center of it with the Rat King. Well, they say Brad Marchand's the Rat King. I'm going to say Nick Cousins is the Rat King because he just made Brad Marchand lose his mind. So after 20 minutes of play, Ottawa, they are tied with the Bruins at 0. They did outshoot them by 5, 12-7. They actually had a very good second half to the first period of play. The Bruins early on, I think they had 6 shots, in that first 5 minutes. Forsberg did a very good job, just like, on Sunday against the Devils, to calm the waters, to calm the storm, to get Ottawa into a groove. And they did. They started to push there in the second half of the first period of play. Unfortunately, though, that momentum would not carry over to the second period of play, as just 3 minutes in, Artem Zub and Sebrango get mixed up. Zub did not have the greatest game, I'll be honest with you. Sebrango needs to cover Morgan Geekie here in the slot area right out front in the crease. And yeah, a nice pass from Pasta, David Pastrnak to Geekie, and the Boston Bruins strike first on a tap-in goal for Morgan Geekie. It is 1-0 Boston. And I mean, this is a goal where, you can say whatever you want. I think at the end of the day, you have 2 or 3 guys in the slot. You can blame Sabrango, and that was his guy, to be fair. But you have 2 or 3 guys right there not picking him up. That's just kind of all you need to know about the Ottawa Senators and their slot defense, which continually allows goals. I don't get it. You know, this team is so much better defensively, but that play that they did there and the tap-in goals right out front in the crease, or right on the edge of the crease, I should say, are so routine for Ottawa. It's like nearly, let's say on average, 3 goals against. One of those are usually that way. And, you know, I know that's going to happen from time to time, but it seems like it happens every game for Ottawa. So we go to the third period of play, because honestly, while Ottawa, they did generate a lot of shots, not really high danger opportunities. I mean, I'll just say it for the game notes. I'm so frustrated right now. I don't know if you can tell. I'm trying to just be calm and, you know, not lose my cool here, because at the end of the day, we're still fighting for a playoff spot. We're playing meaningful games at the end of January here, and there's a lot of hockey left. I'm not going to lose my mind here, and I'll just save it for the game notes, but it's just, after that game on Tuesday, you expect way more than we got today. I mean, what the hell was that? So we go to the third period of play, and I mean, Ottawa got screwed here. I'll be honest with you. It's not shocking Ottawa got screwed here, because it's a loose puck goal situation, and only the Ottawa Senators get screwed in those situations. Halfway through the third period of play, Tim Stützle puts home the loose puck. Looks like Ottawa ties it at 1, but no. Furlat, the ref for the National Hockey League, he has to be like, you know what? How can I make this about me? He finds the perfect way. He calls an early whistle that negates the Ottawa Senator tying goal, which would have been their first goal in over 2 games, over 120 minutes. No goal. They can't review it because the whistle was blown before the puck was even shot, let alone in the back of the net. So that is just elite IQ by the refs. Just genius. And the best part is, the angle you just saw on your screen there is the exact sight that, or view, or whatever you want to call it, the sight lines, that the ref had for a lot. Literally, he saw the puck loose. I don't see how he didn't. If we saw it from the camera angle, he's higher up, he's on the ice. How don't you see the puck loose? That is a question I would love to ask the ref, but we're not allowed to do that in the NHL for whatever reason. And the goal is negated. And, you know, I'm not even going to get too pissy about that, because moments later, Ottawa had a 5-on-3 opportunity. A 5-on-3 opportunity in the final 10 minutes. In the final 10 minutes of the third period of play. But you know what the Ottawa Senators are going to do? They're going to squander that opportunity. They don't even generate anything. They get 1 shot on net on the 5-on-3. 1 shot. You have 2 extra men on the ice. You got a final huge 10 minutes to go. You're down by a goal. Whoever wins this game either stays in the playoff spot and gets a little bit of a cushion, or falls out of a playoff spot, and you couldn't care less. You're acting like it's the preseason. The power play, gone like that. I mean, it was just embarrassing. I mean, Shabbat almost turned it over, and the Bruins almost scored shorthanded. There was multiple times where Ottawa just lobbed it in, carelessly, you know, dumping and chasing. You know, Ottawa's not the fastest team. I don't know, maybe just try to carry it in. You have players that can do that, and it's a 5-on-3. It's a 5-on-3. They don't have any other choice, really, but to let you carry it in. What are they going to do? Challenge you? Then suddenly it's 2 guys on the back while one's caught up high. They're not going to do that. But no, let's dump it in, of course. Let's just lob it in. And the passing on that... the passing on that power play was such a joke, too. Careless. And it shows in the final score here, because... I mean, like, look, this final couple minutes with the empty net was just so infuriating. It's pass. Oh, good look. Well, let's pass it some more. Pass. Pass to the point. Shot blocked with 4 bodies out front, 3 of which aren't ours because we don't even screen the goalie. Pass. Back to the point. Turnover from the blue line. Game over. Empty net goal. Bruins win the game 2-0. Just an embarrassing, all-around embarrassing effort. And a game where Ottawa said, we got to make a statement. We got to bounce back after an embarrassing 5-0 loss to the New York Rangers. Well, they didn't bounce back, but they certainly made a statement. Not the statement they were looking for, but a statement nonetheless. An embarrassing effort tonight for the Ottawa Senators. They've been shut out for nearly 140 minutes straight. 2 straight games they've been shut out. Ottawa now also falls out of a playoff spot to the Boston Bruins. They go to third in the Atlantic Division. Tampa drops into one of those final wildcard spots. While Ottawa is now tied with the team we just got beat by, the New York Rangers, the Habs, all with 52 points. I mean, we had a bit of a cushion, and just like that, it's gone. All the teams are streaking, and they're really, really winning. I mean, Detroit beat Montreal, to be fair. Philly lost, so I get it. You can say, oh, they're not streaking. All those teams are winning right now, and if they're not winning, it's because they're losing to other teams that are winning right now, like Detroit and the New York Rangers. So the point very simply is we have games in hand. We're only a point out of a playoff spot. The sky is not falling by any means, but you have absolutely a right to be frustrated and frankly infuriated with the effort and the result that you saw today. This was a pitiful performance, an embarrassing performance, and frankly a lackluster performance in a game where they needed to show a lot more. I mean, so much more. You know what's on the line. They know it's on the line. Why are they not playing like anything's on the line? I mean, again, they outshot the Bruins. They had 30 shots in that big whoop-dee-dee. I can count maybe 2 or 3 high-danger opportunities. Maybe. The only high-danger opportunities we had hit the post. So we did hit the post a few times. So we might be cursed. That is possible. We did hit the post a few times. Batherson had a great chance. Tipped off Korpisalo's glove, which they didn't challenge enough today, off the crossbar and out. Speaking of that, for the record, I mean, Jonas Korpisalo, I mean, good for him. I mean, I don't know why fans booed him when he came to Ottawa and we beat them in overtime. Not saying that's the reason he shut us out or beat us, but I'm sure they gave him a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder. Certainly fired him up a little more, I'm sure. It would for me anyways. But this is also just a typical goalie revenge game. So are we really shocked that the goaltender that's allowed 14 goals in the last 3 starts shut us out? No, and especially considering the fact he's a former Ottawa Senator. It should have been, frankly, a guarantee. I probably should have bet on it before the game even begun. But, you know, what's really concerning is the last 11 games for Ottawa, we've been shut out 5 times. 5 out of the last 11 games, we have not scored a single goal. And the Ottawa Senators have not scored more than 2 goals in 5 out of their last 6 games. I mean, you could talk about the goaltending. You could talk about how Zuba didn't have the greatest defensive game. You could talk about this. You could talk about that. Nothing matters if you can't score. I mean, you can't score. How are you going to win the game if you can't even put one in the back of the net? Against a goalie like Korpisalo, who has a below 900 save percentage. And again, I mean, I can't say it enough. He's averaging between 4 to 5 goals a game in the last few starts. You can't score one? You know this goalie. You played with him. You don't know his weaknesses? Just embarrassing. Frankly, just embarrassing. Now, Anton Forsberg, 24 for 25 today. He stopped 26 total shots for the Boston Bruins. By the way, of course, the empty net goal obviously doesn't count towards Forsberg's stats. That'd be ridiculous. He had a fantastic game. When the Bruins were pressing early on, he did everything he could to keep it tied, which he did, and scoreless, which he did. That one goal that he allowed, not sure how you can blame him. It's a tap-in goal out front with 3 guys not covering the guy loose. And he made some key saves there late in the third to give Ottawa even an opportunity with the empty net. So he had a great game. He, look, clearly he saw the writing on the wall with the run that Levy Merrill Insanity had. Merrillainen had a great run, no doubt about it. It's still continuing. I'm sure he'll get a start. Probably on Sunday against Utah, I would imagine. I'm sure Forsberg gets the start against the Leafs after a strong performance tonight. But Forsberg certainly battled himself back into being the backup with a couple of strong performances in the last couple of games. And in the last 3 games, frankly. Even that loss against Detroit, he was pretty solid. So, no issues with him. I have a lot of issues, though, with the Ottawa Senator power play. Going to this game, 1 for 15 tonight, 0 for 4. They only have 1 goal in the last 7 games. So, you know, a lot of people early in the year were like, well, the scoring can't, continue. The power play is unsustainable. Well, they might have been onto something, because that's certainly a part of the issue right now. But it's also on the 5-on-5 play. I mean, I was watching Craig Button, friend of the show, shout out to that beauty, TSN analyst, just after the game. He was talking about Ottawa's like 29th in the league for rebounds created. So if you're not even generating rebounds, how are you going to put the puck in the back of the net? Especially when you have crashers like Ridley Gregg and Tkachuk on the team who, live and thrive off of that type of, generated chance. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, I can't say it enough. Start utilizing the one-timer more. I don't know why we don't see it on the power play. We really should. Now, a couple of really upsetting things. Look at your screen right now. I mean, Stützle, Tkachuk, and Batherson have been invisible as of late. I mean, invisible. But Tkachuk and Batherson specifically, I mean, Stützle, he's generating points at times. He needs to shoot the puck more, though. I think anyone watching this video agrees with that. Tim Stützle desperately needs to start shooting the puck more. But for Tkachuk, that's now 9 straight games without a point. That's a career high for him. He had a decent game in terms of effort. He had 6 shots, 2 blocks, and 3 hits. So, you know, he was hungry for it today. He had a couple of nice chances. You know, it was better than the last few games for him for sure. I mean, this is a game where I kind of noticed him more than others. But it wasn't enough, obviously, so I'm not going to pat him on the back. And then Drake Batherson had 5 shots today, but as I said earlier in this video, 2 goals in the last month and a bit here. So just not good enough. Not good enough. And, you know, when those are your guys making $7-8 million, those are your guys that you rely on the score, those are your guys in the top 6 that you need to produce, especially on that power play, well, you can't dry up and not get even a point in nearly 10 straight games. So I'm not an NHL player. I don't know how they break out of the funk, but I do think against a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs at home, Battle of Ontario, I don't think there's a, you know, especially again with the playoff spot on the line there. I don't know about you. I don't know if there's a better game out there that get the boys fired up and ready to go and ready to win a game and get out of this funk. So we'll see what they could do on Saturday against the Leafs. A couple of positive notes, though, to finish off this video with. Tom Chabot, yeah, he didn't have the greatest game, but he played nearly 30 minutes of ice time with a broken face. You got to respect Chabot for the effort there. And Tyler Kleven, he really stepped up big time. He's showing more and more this year that he's going to be a very solid defenseman, physical guy for years to come. So strong, so smart with the puck. He looked good today, 6 blocks and 4 shots. He has a bomb of a shot from the point. He loves to just kind of walk in from the blue line and just walk in and slap it. So I do love that. When the puck comes loose, you often see him chipping in from the blue line and just hammering that shot. So good to see Kleven playing with confidence, and good for Chabot to kind of carry the water here for Ottawa, especially without Sanderson in the lineup. Now with that, let's see what Ottawa can do on Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hopefully they can bounce back with a win. I'm praying because